The streets of San Francisco gleamed under the dim glow of streetlights, the salty breeze drifting in from the bay. Donald Trump adjusted his silk tie, stepping out of his townhouse in the heart of the city. His life was, by all accounts, perfect. A thriving career in politics, a sharp mind, and a charming girlfriend, Andrew Connor, who always knew how to keep him on his toes. But perfection, as Donald was about to learn, was nothing more than a well-crafted illusion. It all started with the blade. One evening, while searching for an old campaign box in his cellar, Donald's fingers brushed against something cold and metallic. Pulling it from the shadows, he found himself staring at a blade unlike anything he had ever seen, thin, sharp as a whisper, with intricate carvings that glowed faintly under the dim light. It felt heavy in his grip, too heavy for something so small. A chill ran down his spine. Something about it felt wrong. But before he could dwell on it, the distant thump of bass shook the walls. Andrew had turned their apartment into a makeshift disco again. "Donald, get up here. You can't run for office without learning how to dance." Her voice echoed from above. Shaking off the unease, he set the blade aside and climbed the stairs. Yet, long after the music faded and the city fell into silence, the blade remained in the back of his mind. And it would soon bring questions that would unravel everything he thought he knew. The next morning, Donald woke up to the sound of Andrew humming in the kitchen. The scent of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, but his mind was still stuck on the blade. He got out of bed and headed downstairs, expecting to find it exactly where he had left it. But when he reached the cellar, his stomach tightened. The blade was gone. Donald scanned the room, his pulse quickening. He had placed it right there, he was sure of it. Looking for something, he turned to see Andrew leaning against the doorframe, a smirk playing on her lips. "Ah, yeah. Did you come down here last night?" She tilted her head, sipping her coffee. "Nope. But you were tossing and turning in your sleep," kept mumbling something about San Francisco. Donald frowned. "We're already in San Francisco." Andrew chuckled. "Exactly. Something wasn't right." His memories felt foggy, like a dream slipping through his fingers. That afternoon, needing a distraction, he took a walk through the city. The sun reflected off the glass skyscrapers. People bustled past him, and the scent of fresh bread wafted from a nearby bakery. It was all so normal, too normal. Then he saw him, a man standing across the street, watching him. He was tall, well-dressed, with sharp features and piercing eyes that locked onto Donald like they knew him. Donald felt a strange pull toward him, like gravity had shifted. The man smirked, tipped an imaginary hat, and turned to walk away. Without thinking, Donald followed. He didn't know why, but something told him this man had answers. And after last night, Donald needed answers more than ever. Donald followed the man through the crowded streets, his polished dress, shoes tapping against the pavement. The stranger walked with purpose, never once looking back. It was as if he expected Donald to follow. They passed high-rise buildings, neon-lit cafes, and street performers juggling fire, but Donald barely noticed. His mind raced with questions. Who was this man? How did he know him? And why did it feel like his entire life had been leading up to this moment? Finally, after what felt like forever, the man turned down a quiet alley and stopped. He leaned against the brick wall, lighting a cigarette like he had all the time in the world. Donald hesitated. The alley was too narrow, too dark. A politician didn't belong here, but something inside him pushed him forward. The man exhaled a trail of smoke, watching Donald with an amused expression. "You took your time." Donald crossed his arms. "Who are you?" The man smiled. "Simon Thomas, psychiatrist." Donald's stomach dropped. The name sounded familiar. Too familiar. Simon took a slow drag from his cigarette. "You don't remember me, do you?" Donald's pulse quickened. "Should I?" Simon studied him, his expression unreadable. Then, with a chuckle, he flicked the cigarette away and reached into his coat. For a split second, Donald tensed, ready for anything. But what Simon pulled out wasn't a weapon. It was the blade. Donald's breath caught in his throat. "Where did you get that?" Simon twirled it between his fingers like a magician with a trick. "You left it behind. A long time ago." Donald shook his head. "That's impossible. I just found it yesterday." Simon's smile widened. "No, Donald. You just remembered it yesterday." The words hit like a punch to the gut. Donald stared at the blade, at the eerie carvings that seemed to pulse under the alley's dim light. His world was shifting beneath his feet, and for the first time in his life, Donald Trump felt completely lost. Donald's head spun. He stared at Simon, then at the blade in his hand. The weight of it, the strange carvings, none of it made sense. "I don't know what you're talking about," Donald said, his voice steady despite the knot forming in his stomach. "I've never seen that thing before yesterday." Simon exhaled slowly, as if he had expected this response. "That's what they made you believe." Donald clenched his jaw. "Who?" Simon took a step closer. "The people who erased your past." A cold chill ran through Donald's spine. He wanted to laugh, call Simon a lunatic, but something in the man's eyes stopped him. He wasn't joking. "You're telling me I had a past I don't remember?" Simon nodded. "And the blade is the key to unlocking it." He held it out. "Take it." Donald hesitated. Every instinct told him to walk away, to return to his life, his campaign, and pretend none of this was happening. But he couldn't. With a slow breath, he reached for the blade. The moment his fingers wrapped around the handle, a surge of heat shot through his body. Images flooded his mind, flashes of places he didn't recognize, people he didn't know, a dark room, a voice whispering his name, a contract signed in blood. His grip tightened as a wave of nausea hit him. His knees nearly buckled. Simon caught his arm. "Breathe, Donald!" Donald gasped, stepping back. His heart pounded against his ribs. What the hell was that? Simon studied him. "Your past. It's coming back." Donald shook his head. "I don't understand." Simon sighed. "You will." Then, from the street behind them, footsteps. Heavy, purposeful. Simon's eyes darkened. "They found us." Before Donald could react, a shadowy figure stepped into the alley. "Mr. Trump," the figure said, his voice smooth as silk. "It's time to come home." Donald's fingers tightened around the blade. He didn't know who this man was. He didn't know what was happening. But one thing was certain: he wasn't going anywhere without a fight. The alleyway felt tighter, the air heavier. Donald's grip on the blade was firm, but his mind was a storm of unanswered questions. Simon didn't move. His body was tense, his gaze locked on the shadowy figure standing at the entrance. Donald took a slow step forward. "Who the hell are you?" The man smiled. "Someone who's been looking for you for a very long time." His voice was unsettlingly calm, each word precise, deliberate. Donald felt something deep in his bones, a memory, trying to claw its way back. He wasn't just a politician. He had been something else. Something dangerous. Simon spoke first. "You're wasting your time." "He doesn't remember." The man chuckled. "Oh, but he will." His eyes flickered to the blade in Donald's hand. "He already is." A pulse of heat shot through Donald's body again. More flashes. More whispers. An agreement in a candlelit room. A symbol carved into his palm. A promise sealed with blood. Donald's breathing turned shallow. "What did I do?" The man tilted his head. "You gave us your loyalty." Donald's pulse hammered in his ears. "Who are you?" The man stepped forward, just enough for the streetlight to catch his face. It was Mike Pence. Donald's breath hitched. A memory slammed into him like a freight train. Pence. The organization. The contract. It had been real. Simon swore under his breath that "We have to go. Now." But Donald didn't move. He couldn't. Pence extended a hand. "Come with me, Mr. Trump. Let's finish what we started." Donald looked at the blade, looked at Simon, looked at the man who had once been his ally. The air was thick with tension. Then, finally, Donald made his choice. He lunged. Simon moved fast. Too fast. Before Pence could react, Donald swung the blade, catching his sleeve and slicing the fabric. Pence hissed, jumping back, his composure cracking for the first time. "You don't remember everything yet," Pence said, straightening, "but you will. And when you do, you'll realize this fight was never yours to win." Donald clenched his jaw. "Maybe, but I'd rather die fighting than live under someone else's control." A silence stretched between them. Then, with a smirk, Pence gave a small nod that, "We'll see." And just like that, he disappeared into the night. Donald exhaled, his body still shaking from adrenaline. He turned to Simon. "What now?" Simon smiled. "Now, we run." Donald looked at the blade in his hand, at the blood-stained past he was just starting to uncover. "No," he said, his voice steady. "Now we fight." And with that, Donald Trump stepped into the unknown, ready to face whatever came next. The end. Don't miss this gripping cinematic story full of suspense, mystery, and jaw-dropping twists. Subscribe for more thrilling stories. Hit the notification bell.